Non-Bespoke Elegance welcomes you back. This is your old pal Cole Haan, a Chinese with Western style. And today we're talking about a pair of blucher called Grayson from Johnston Murphy. And we have a lot of things to catch up, so please hit the subscribe button. So let's hurry up!
Welcome to Non-Bespoke Elegance. No fast fashion, only timeless classics. No cheap made, no high price tags. I am your friend, menswear enthusiast, Cole Haan.
So this Johnston Murphy Grayson blucher is coming from their JM 1850 line instead of the main line. And the 1850 line actually has a slogan saying, "A collection dedicated to the independent thinkers and style enthusiasts with a fashion-forward attitude, crafted of the finest material inside and out, so they feel as good as they look." The shoe actually looks great and fantastic, but actually, and we dive into three aspects: the quality, construction, and aesthetics as usual, to do an in-depth review of the shoe itself to see whether it's worth your money and whether it deserves the slogan as it says. And also I include huge amount of comparison in this video between this pair of Grayson and another pair of Spectator shoe from Johnston Murphy mainline. If you haven't checked it out, I'll put the link here. That's a Spectator shoe review I did before. And also I include a very high-end quality shoe of mine to do the comparison in more details. So let's do the leather quality first. First touch here, the leather doesn't feel like calfskin, although they're marketing this shoe as calfskin leather.
The leather looks a bit corrected and waxed and shiny itself instead of calfskin. Very neat.
A small tip here. Once you get into examining the leather quality, a small, quick way to do it is that when you give a pressure at one point, if that dimples a larger area, that usually means it's a genuine layer or at most top grain, because those area on the cowhide tends to have a more systematic structure. When you have a full grain or say calfskin full grain, high quality leather, when you pressure one point, that usually dimples around a very small area, because full grain leather or calfskin leather tends to have a small systematic structure underneath.
You can see once I pressure a point on the upper, it dimples at a large area. While our Warner calfskin Spectator shoe we did before, we put pressure and a small dimple. This is another pair of my high-end quality shoe. You see that small dimple? That's full grain leather, and this one, a large area, large dimple.
Now let's have a closer look at the inner lining material. This Grayson here I have has a inner lining made of pig skin, and this pig skin is so rough and so coarse it doesn't feel like the full grain of pig skin. Comparing that to our Johnston Murphy Spectator model I did before, that one actually has a sheepskin instead of pigskin, which tends to be more pliable and soft.
So we have our touch on the Grayson here, a very rough pigskin, while our Warner from Johnston Murphy mainline has a sheepskin, which is very neat.
Now let's move on to the construction. Grayson here has, it appears to be a 360-degree GoodYear Welted technique. You can see the threads around the shoe on the top of the outsole and also the bottom of the outsole. And but actually, is it true in this way as it seems? It's actually not.
We can see the threads, the stitching of high density appears on the upper of the outsole, It's all the way around the shoe. And here I measure it to be roughly 9 stitches per inch, while this very high quality GoodYear Welted shoe I got here has 8. A closer look, we have at the bottom of the outsole 5 stitches per inch, while on the top, as we mentioned before, it's roughly 9 stitches per inch. So they are not in harmony, they're not agree with each other. And we measured the stitches from the very edge of the outsole. This one is probably 1 centimeter from the edge at the bottom, while at the top of the outsole, the stitches are only like 0.5 centimeters.
And also, I will get into detail about how this outsole material is and how the outsole feels like, whether it's tough or soft. At first glance, it's pretty tough.
Here at the bottom, we have a pretended nails and pretended leather outsole. Actually, these are only different colors of rubbers, and the rubber actually is pretty tough. You can see I'm trying to test the toughness, the stiffness of the bottom. Grayson is so hard, a very low quality rubber bottom, while our Warner is way better.
Now let's move on to the aesthetics. First look, the shoe has relatively a chunky look, and that is resulted from a no shape or say generic shoe last, which is the wooden model the shoe is built on.
The overall shape, in terms of aesthetics, we can tell Warner is much more slimmer.
And a closer look at the medallion and all the brogans around the shoe, everything seems pretty fantastic, but actually this only has a look without a sole, because when we examine in detail about the perforation holes along the brogan, we can tell it lacks a lot of details.
We examine the medallion and perforation holes on the brogans to some details. Here we have this perforation holes along the brogan, the stitches, where 2 parts of leathers meet, and the brogan, the wingtip here, we can for sure see the of course the medallion is way better on the Warner, and also you can see there are 2 small perforation dots, perforation holes in between each bigger perforation holes, while at the Grayson here we did not see that.
One thing to compliment is that this shoe actually uses double stitching along a lot of places. That I am pretty satisfied with. And also here we have a linen part to form a better looking shoe with great color contrasting and a fun look.
The side look is pretty neat and well finished by double stitching of the shoelace hole leather. This piece of blucher has a single piece, extra piece of leather where the shoelaces are. They double stitch that piece of leather to the upper.
Moving towards the back, the rear quarter here, we have a well-formed rear quarter, sits tightly on the heel, but actually when you see the threads, again it pretends to be a GoodYear Welted 360-degree GoodYear Welted shoe.
And the rear quarter here, again you can see fake threads as I mentioned before. And the rear quarter is actually well formed, sit on the heel. But anyway, the fake threads are self-evident.
Moving towards the inner quarter here, we have the arch part. The leather here actually does not curve inward towards your foot at all, which means absolutely no arch support. While arch support is usually very important and one of the most visible features on a pair of high-end or say quality shoe.
So arch support again is very important feature on a quality shoe to make you more comfortable while it's lack here.
Last but not least, we examine whether the toe part stayed to the ground enough. And that feature actually related to the whole balance of the shoe. Two factor matters. The first one is the original wooden last that the shoe is built on. If that last has a well-balanced shape, the toe actually naturally leans towards the ground. While the second factor regarding to the heel height, if you have a decent heel height here, that will naturally makes the toe part towards the ground.
So here we have our Warner and Grayson. You can see a very significant curve up on the Grayson, while Warner, the toe part tends to stay close to the ground. And that can be solved easily when they produce the shoe by adding an extra layer of rubber heel. You can see it's way better now. Or they can adjust the last shape.
Johnston Murphy actually make their mainline products in USA, while this JM 1850 Grayson Blucher are made in China. That does not mean all shoes made in China are bad. Actually, I'm gonna do a video on some very nice Chinese shoe brand this coming fall. So stay tuned. And if you like my channel, please hit the subscribe button. And I will see you next one.